3 Music Theory, lesson number 6. Alright, so today in this lesson we're going to cover some more advanced note values. We're going to cover dotted notes and we're also going to cover triplets. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to cover is something called dotted notes. Now you're probably thinking, oh Andrew, I just learned notes and I just got over it and I was confused and now you have to add this in? What else is there? Is there striped notes? Is there helium-filled notes? No. There's only going to be... Whoops, just dropped my pen again. I had to drop things. Anyway, so there's only going to be either there's regular notes and there's dotted notes. So just to let you know, that's basically about it. So try not to get too worried about that. So let's explain this. So a dotted note looks like any of the other notes but with a dot on it. Big surprise, hey? So we've got a half note here. We already know what that looks like. A dotted half note. You're going to have to excuse some of my messy writing here. I tried to write it pretty neat. But yeah, I mess up still. And this is a dotted half note. So the difference between these is that this one has a dot there. Now I also wrote the rest equivalent because they're just like there's rests and notes, there's also dotted rests too. So a dotted rest is the same thing. Then there's dotted quarter notes, dotted whole notes, dotted whatever. Like any note that you have can be dotted. Now what does the dot do? Okay, well, the dot adds 50% of the value of the note onto it. Now if that sounds confusing, this is why I drew all this out. Okay, so underneath half note we have 1 beat and 2 beat, because a half note is worth 2 beats, okay? So 2 beats, I didn't write it out here because I thought it'd be redundant. So here we know that a half rest is worth 2 beats. Now, what is half of 2? So if you have 1 and 2, you have 2 of these and you take away half, what's half of that? 1. Half of 2 is 1. So what's 1 plus 2? 3. Yeah, no, very simple math here, guys. So we have basically 2 notes here. So we're going to take half of them and add it on again. So double it, basically. You double half of it. Oh, that sounds confusing. But anyway, so you basically go, okay, well, I have 2 beats, so half of 2 is 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Done. Let's go on to another example just for more clarity. So now, a quarter note, it only has 1 beat, so what do we do with that? Well, okay, so we have 1 beat. I drew kind of like a dotted line to segregate the 1 beat to show you how you can divide a beat in half. So here, half of 1 is half, right? So half of 1 beat is half. So if you add half to 1, you get 1.5. Right here, 1.5. So a dotted quarter note is worth 1.5 beats, okay? Or it's almost like having a quarter note and then an eighth note on top of it. But it's all the same length held, so it's going to be a held note for that long. Okay, let's move on. So whole note. A whole note's worth 4 beats. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what's half of 4? Half of 4 is 2. Okay, so 2 plus 4 is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do you think you get it now? Okay, I hope you do. So just remember, it's always half of whatever the value is. So if you had a note that was worth half a beat, which is an eighth note, and you added a dot to it, now it's worth half. So what's half of half? Half of a half. Half of a beat. Oh, that sounds so funny. So half of a beat is actually a quarter, okay? So it helps if you understand fractions, which most people probably do. And so a quarter plus a half is 3/4. Okay, so basically a dotted eighth note is worth 3/4 of a beat. Well, what's worth 1/4 of a beat? A 16th note, the next one down. So a 16th note would fill that gap, so you could have a dotted quarter note. You could literally have like a dotted eighth note like this. And then you could have a 16th note like this, and that would equal how many beats? 1 beat. There's a little piece of hair there. Okay, so that's basically how that works. Although technically you could probably just draw it like this. That's how I draw it. Like this and this mean the exact same thing. The only difference is it's grouping it together, so it's kind of a little bit cleaner and easier to read. So this line goes up this way, and then we put this way because it goes kind of in between, but that's how you draw it. That could be a little confusing, but okay, so that is basically what dotted notes are. So remember that you still need to be able to equal the amount of beats that you need to, put in a bar, but now this is sort of a way so that you can get away from just, you can kind of change the beats a little bit even more. You have a little bit more control of rhythm. Like a good dotted rhythm, like a dotted rhythm would be like, say you have a dotted half note or a dotted quarter note or something, and then you have something else that's not that. It'd be like dun 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 dun. That's a very dotted rhythm. Okay. There's also something later on, but it's not very much used. It's called double dotting. Yeah, and so it just means you hold it a little bit longer. So it's kind of double the effect of the dot, but that is kind of irrelevant and we don't need to get into that yet. Okay, so I think that's enough for dotted notes. Next thing I'm going to show you is triplets. So let's do that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to learn is something called triplets. Now these are another rhythmic thing that you can use, and I guess I kind of lied, didn't I? I said that dots were the only thing that you would have to learn. Sorry. Whoops. No. Okay, so triplets are the next thing. Okay? I'm trying to regroup everything rhythmic together and get all that out of the way, and then we're going to get on to the other stuff. So this lesson and the next lesson are going to do with rhythm. So the next one is going to be doing with strong and weak beats. Alright? And how you group them together and stuff like that. And once we cover that, we've pretty much covered almost everything you need to know about rhythm for quite a while. So, yeah, okay, so triplets. Okay, so a triplet is sort of, it's an alteration on like a note pattern that kind of basically, well, that sounds like a lot of gibberish and it's not easy to understand. Basically what a triplet is it basically, it groups 3 notes in succession, so it's 1, 2, 3 notes very, very quickly. And, sorry, my nose is itchy here. And so 3 notes equals 1. Let's actually just take a look at this. Okay, so we have a triplet here. It's a group of 3 eighth notes with a 3 above it. You can also have it below, okay? So whenever you see a group of 3, sometimes they have a slur like this connecting, like that. Sometimes they have that too. So it's trying to show that it's in a triplet form. So whenever you see this, it means that now you're looking at these 3 eighth notes, but they actually have the same value as 2 eighth notes, okay? So how you have to play it is you always have to imagine the rhythm fitting in with these 2 eighth notes, okay? So if you have a bar and you're drawing it out, you actually have to just see 2 of these 2 eighth notes. Now, how it also can work is because 2 eighth notes equals 1 quarter note, right? We know that. So since that's that, well, this also equals that as well. So the triplets also equal a quarter note, okay? So if you have a group of triplets that are eighth notes, then a quarter note will equal the 3 eighth notes, okay? In triplet form. Now, for further examples, you could have 3 quarter notes, and then the 3 quarter notes would equal the 1 half note. Now, how do we get that? Well, again, it's 3, but it's actually only worth 2. So 2 quarter notes equals 1, 2, 2 equals 2 is a half note. So 2 and 2, it equals out. Same thing here. We have a whole note here, and we have 3 half notes. So you take that one away, and you only have 2. Okay, 2 for this one and 2 for that one, because each half note has 2 beats. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and a whole note is 4 beats. So again, it equals out. Alright, so now, that's the whole like rhythmic kind of concept behind it, which I'm probably going to have to go into more detail later. But this is just for your own kind of, we're building a lot of foundational stuff here. So I know, it seems like a lot of information and you're like, oh, how does it even fit together? This is just one random thing after the other. but it actually, you have to kind of understand all of it to see the final thing. Just like when you're building a house, you know, you're pouring concrete and you might be thinking, what the heck does this have to do with making a house? It doesn't even look like a house. Or you're framing a house and it still doesn't look like a house. It starts to look more like a house when you start putting the siding on and, you know, you're decorating the interior and you get the roof on and stuff like that. But we're still building the foundation right now. Alright, so anyway, so with blueberry here that I have written out, why we use this, you could also use strawberry if you don't like blueberries, is it's a 3-syllable word, so blueberry, so blueberry. So when we say blueberry, we have to break it up into 3 equal parts. Blueberry, blueberry. See how it's very equal? It's like dun dun dun, dun dun dun, blueberry. That's the idea here. It's 3 beats, but they're all equal. So it's 3 beats in 1. Okay? So 3 notes in 1 beat, I guess I should say. So here I have a quarter note and it's worth 1 beat. And this triplet, since it's this, imagine that, so that's the same. So basically you have to play both of these at the exact amount of time allocated to it. So the same amount of time is going to be for both of these things. So how we do it is, if I was playing this together with my right hand and my left hand, I would play both notes down together and I'd go blueberry with my right hand if it's playing this. So it's like blueberry, 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 like that. So see how with the 3 it has this kind of dun 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 kind of a feel to it? That's something we call compound time, okay? It's a group of 3, whereas duple time or simple time is a group of 2. Right after this I'm going to explain that too, and then we'll be done the video. But, so basically blueberry is triplet. It's a great way to have a triplet that goes with a beat. Now, if I had, say, you know, say I had a triplet up here, and then down here I had this. Because you might be thinking, well, what if you did this? What would you do then? Wow, that looks horrible. Anyway, it's kind of hard when you're writing like this, but what you would do here is, now it gets really complicated, and this is called a polyrhythm. So it's something way down the road that you'll learn later, but it's where the beats sort of go in between each other. So you'd start out and then you'd have them go back and forth, and yeah, but we're not even going to touch that right now because it's too complicated right now for where we are here. So, but there's lots of different things you can do, and triplets have a big impact on timing and they can be pretty confusing. And I've had a few times where when I was learning piano, like when I was in grades 7 and 8 and 6 piano or whatever, I would have a heck of a time trying to play anything with a triplet on it. As soon as the triplets came out, I'd be like, what? How do I do this? So yeah, that's a little intro on triplets. I didn't want to give too much information all at once because it's kind of confusing. Anyway, okay, now I'm just going to do a little kind of intro on duple time and compound time. So let's do that. Alright, so the next thing is we're going to just do a little intro here on the differences between simple time or duple time and something called compound time, which is, you could sort of call it triple time too, but no, not really. Sort of. I mean, you could, but anyway. Okay, so basically, duple time versus compound time. Probably should have put that simple time, but oh well. Okay, anyway. So it's kind of like a big fight between 2 different timing ways, okay? And this is like the 2 big timing ways of the rhythmic universe, you could say. So one is the kind of thought that everything is in 2, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. And the other is compound is everything is in 3, so like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's sort of like the, you know, when you have math and you have numbers, you have odd numbers and even numbers. Well, this is a lot like that too. You have where, because I mean, you could go up and you could have 4/4 time, or you could have 8/4 time, and it's always going to break down into either 2s or 3s. So like 8/4 time would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Now, you have compound time. Now this is it gets more complicated when you put into those terms, because then you have other sub things and it's crazy. But let's just go with this. Compound time, basically I'm saying that for anyone who knows music theory and they're like, well, why are you just keeping it so simple and you're doing this? But all this is just really simple information for you to start off with, okay? Okay, so compound time. Now compound time is basically groups of 3, all right? So basically what you've got here is you've got this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 kind of a feel. It's a lot like something you'd hear in like a waltz. You know, where it goes like bottom, bum, bottom, bum, bottom, bum, bottom, bum, bottom, bum, bottom, bum, bottom. And duple time is actually to do with, it has kind of a marching feel to it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, like that, right? That's duple time, because you have 2 legs, that's like 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, and then there's the 3-legged man, and he's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or maybe they just like to skip. They're like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Maybe not. Anyway, okay, so that is the basic difference between them. Now, I want you to notice something. With duple time, all your top numbers are always going to be divisible by 2, okay? So 2, 4, I have 2, 2 here. Now, the thing is though, if it's divisible by 3, usually the 3 can sort of go, like, here's a great example. So 6, 8 time, you can divide it by 3 or 2. Now, most commonly, it's actually going to be put in a compound time signature. But sometimes you'll see people, they'll write music that'll be in compound time, so it'll be like 6, 8, and then they'll go through the piece like da dun dun da dun dun da dun dun, and then suddenly they'll just change it and they'll write it as if it was duple time just to make it a different flavor. So you can do a lot of stuff with stuff like that. Now like 9, 8 time, that's going to be a compound time. Basically what they're doing with 6, 8 and 9, 8, like 6, 8, you'll just have 1, 2, 3 beats and then 1, 2, 3. So you'll have 2 groups of 3. Whereas with 9, 8, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 groups of 3 beats. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And now this is sort of like a segue, getting your mind prepared for the next lesson, which is to do with strong and weak beats and how you place them. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I have an S and a W here. The S and the W's are like, okay, you start the note, or you start off your bar, so beat 1 is pretty much always strong. I can't even think of one place where it's not strong. So beat 1 is strong, okay? Now, your next beat is weak in 3, 4 time, okay? Or compound time, it's usually strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. Now, that's where you get that bottom, bump, bottom, bump. The beat is strong, so you'll accent that, or you'll play the note a little louder, or you'll do something to give it a different feel. Whereas here with duple time, you know, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So see how I'm accenting or making the first beat louder? That's what actually gives the time its feel. So the strong is the accent, or the accent on it. So strong, weak, or strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. Okay? So it's something to think about. Okay? There's still more on this subject, and I think rhythm is probably the most complicated thing for anyone that's getting into it, getting into music theory to start with. So once you do this, it's pretty much all downhill from here. This is like the biggest mind warp in the very beginning, is understanding how the rhythm works. But it's also one of the most useful because you can transplant it to like anything. You can transplant it to playing bongos, or playing on the piano, or playing on a guitar, or singing, or even dancing. It'll help you understand when music is changing. You'll actually like pick out the rhythm pattern that's actually going on in the beat, and you'll be like, oh, that's what it's doing. And then, yeah, rhythm is super, super awesome and very important. And I think it's the number one most important thing in all of music. Because if you take rhythm, steady rhythm out of your music, then it just becomes chaos. Like if you had like a popular, song, and then you just completely messed up the rhythm, no one would really like it anymore. And when I say messed up, I would say like you just screwed the tempo up so badly. Like it would be like, so like say that was like the original, and then you're like, see how annoying that is? It's like, what? Okay, I'm getting it. Oh, now I didn't get into it. Oh, now I'm getting into it. Oh, no, I'm not. So steady rhythm helps people get into the music, whereas unsteady rhythm doesn't. So learning the whole concept of rhythm is extremely important. So if I were you, I'd devote a lot of time into kind of getting an understanding of this, and when we get into the next subject, then I want you to really spend a lot of time learning that. Okay, so anyway, it is homework time. Homework. No. Okay, so for your homework, this is what you're going to do. You're going to create 20 bars. You're going to do 10 in duple time signatures and 10 in compound time signatures. So duple time signatures you could use are 2-4, 2-2, and 4-2. Or 2-4, 2-2, and 4-4. What am I even talking about? Okay, so 2-4, 2-2, or 4-4. Now 2-2 and 4-2 are exactly the same. They'll still take up the same number of notes and beats. You can think about that as a riddle and think about why that would actually be. I'm not going to tell you. Try to figure it out. It's very simple. Okay, so 10 compound time signatures. You could use 3-4, 6-8, or 9-8. Now, if you still feel confused after you do 10 examples, you could keep doing more until you feel like you master it. But yeah, that should be good. Now, while you do this, you can use all the previous rhythmic elements you can, but I'd like to challenge you to also implement or start using some dotted notes and some triplets in there as well, and try to make sure that it adds up to the right amount of beats. So that could be a nice little puzzle for you guys as well. So that's basically what I want you to cover and do with your homework. And yeah. At the end of when I feel like you guys know enough, then we're going to start doing a review and a test, kind of. Like I'll ask a question, and then you can do it, and then like pause the video, do it, and then yeah, you'll see when it comes up anyway. But yeah, okay. So I hope you guys found that very helpful, and yeah, good luck with everything. It's not going to be too hard. Like I keep saying, oh, this is simple and this is blah blah blah. But really, all the theory is quite simple itself. It's just if you try, like, I had a lesson called Relaxing Your Mind. I think it was lesson 18 on my piano series. And I think that's one of the best videos that can apply to like almost anything you can do. And the whole idea is that if you keep telling yourself it's really hard, then it will become hard. And if you can tell yourself it's easy, your body will, and like subconsciously, you'll start making it easier for you. So don't get all, scared or whatever with theory, and I might be saying, oh, well, this is simple. I guess in the back of my head I'm kind of like thinking about how it's hard to make videos for one person when there's like all these different people watching them. You don't know if it's like an absolute beginner or someone who wants to refresh their memory and they're like, oh, I'll go faster, I know that, or whatever, So on previous videos I've gotten comments like, oh, okay, well, do this or do that, just hurry up, stop talking, blah, 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 get to the point. Whereas someone else that doesn't know it is like, go slower, and then it's like, what do I do? Do I go faster or slower? Oh, so I just try to do like an in-between so that I'm applying to everyone at once. But some people don't get the message that, oh, well, okay, he's going really slow, or oh, why is he going so fast? Like I try to go as slow as possible so that everyone can get it, but I'm not going to just keep repeating myself for like 15 minutes or anything. So if you don't get it by the end of the lesson, you can just go back and rewatch it. But I do want to go slowly and long enough so that anyone that rewatches it can have another chance to like look through it. Anyway, that's the whole idea. And so I guess sometimes I think, oh, well, I try to explain it like, oh, that's really, this is just something simple or whatever, because I'm thinking of the person who knows ahead. And yeah, anyway, I probably shouldn't do that, but yeah, it's fun to make these videos though, and I'm glad that I can help you guys out. It's a very good opportunity that I have, and I'm blessed to be able to have, a camera and enough time to do this, and I have the knowledge, and I have a place that I can do this. Like most, not everyone can do that, something like this, and like they just don't have, the finances or the time that they could do to do this, or yeah. So I feel very like lucky and honored that I can help you guys learn your music theory, and I hope I do the best. Like I try to do the best job that I can. So sometimes I make my mistakes, like I drop my marker and I'm like, no! Or maybe I go, later on, like a few months later, I look back at the video and I'm like, oh, I could have explained that a little bit better. But I always try to do my really best. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and keep doing your best, and I'll keep doing my best. And maybe one day you guys will be awesome at music theory. As long as you don't give up. That's the big key. Something I learned in piano from a very long time ago is that you'll never get anywhere if you just keep giving up. So if you start something out, you should finish it and do anything you have to finish it, but not just kind of struggle through it. Enjoy every moment of it, going like, and if you enjoy every little moment, it makes it go faster and you learn it better. So it's win-win-win. You enjoy it, it goes faster, and you learn it better. Or you could go slower, hate it, and not learn it. Then that's just a waste of your time. So it's a lot of the approach in your mind that you take. Anyway, okay, so that's enough of my babbling. So I'll leave you guys to your homework, and you guys take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.